Welcome to Databricks structured interview preparation session that helps you to confidently attend the Azure data engineer job interviews. There is so much information available in the internet to prepare for job interviews in the form of YouTube videos and PDF files shared in the LinkedIn and some of the details existing in the individual blogs. All of these resources are valuable ones, there is no doubt about it. But what I can't find in these existing resources is referencing a real time project and covering all the layers and all the process that we do in building real time project using Databricks and link those process and the layers into the interview questions. That's why I have produced this material. In this video, we will use a real-time project from my Udemy course that covers data engineering project implementation using Databricks on Microsoft Azure Cloud. To understand the details and the interview questions discussed in this video, you need to have complete knowledge of PySpark, Spark SQL, Delta Lake tables, Delta Live tables, Unity Catalog configuration, autoloader configuration on the Delta Live tables, processing streaming source data, Git repository configuration, and developing the CI/CD pipeline in Databricks development environment. If you are not completely confident about any of these concepts and technical implementation of them using Databricks in real-time project, please check my course in Udemy. The course is completely developed based on real-time project tasks with real-time project. The course link is available in the description section of this video. It's completely free for Udemy business account users. If you need to purchase it, please use the coupon code using the month name you are enrolling followed by year value. For example, if you are enrolling in month May, the coupon code starts with the full month name in capitals MAY followed by the year value 2025. Let us start our interview preparation using this real-time project. One thing I normally say to my students is you need to present your project and the interviewer need to drive the questions from your project presentation. Okay, that is the one option which avoids very wide variety of questions. All of a sudden they don't talk about how will you process the XML data, or all of a sudden they don't talk about how will you handle real-time streaming data. Okay, so the first thing is you need to present your project a very cleaner way, okay, including the CV. Okay, if you want me to have a quick look at your CV, I will look at it. Okay, don't mention any generalized things like processing multiple type of the source files coming from the source system. Don't never ever mention about it. Specific about your source system, even it is one source system, it's absolutely fine. And also specific about what type of the data it will supply, whether it's a delimited file or it's a database table or it's a JSON. I can't see anything go beyond this one. Probably XML is the other option, very rarely. Okay, so you specific about your source system. That is the one thing I want you to do it when we are presenting yourself. Tell me about yourself there. What is your source system? Okay, and everybody is expecting you need to know the Medallion architecture. You say that you have implemented using the Medallion architecture because that is the expectation. Okay, then mention about very high level. Okay, we will go in depth about it, but at the very high level, what is your output? Okay, your project output. Who is the who will be using it? Very generalized output is either you create the reporting layer or the data lake or data lake house to create the machine learning layer. Okay, those two outputs only you can create it. Now come back to the source system. You need to know how many source files you get on daily basis, or how many source tables. Okay, we can't go with one. I started with the course with one because we need to learn the things. I can't able to confuse you by introducing too many files. But later part of the course we introduced more than one file. I think the source database we have got them 5 tables. You need to have little idea about how many files or how many tables you will get from your source data on daily basis. Then obviously you used Medallion architecture. The first part is ingesting, then the transformation. We will go in detail about the interview questions on each of the layer. Okay, but just to present how you present your project, and where you have created your storage layer. Okay, with respect to Databricks, always in Azure actually you are going to create in the data lake storage Gen 2 account, and the different futuristic component available in the technology. For example, Delta Live Table and Delta Lake Table, everybody talking about it. Delta Live Table is the more advanced version of it, and Delta Lake Table also very powerful one, and PySpark and Spark SQL is the standard component in the Databricks. So as far as you are presenting this one, what is your source and what is your target, what all are the components you have used, the interviewer will start to ask the questions on how you did it. Okay, for example, if you are ingesting the data from the source, whether you performed incremental load or delta load, how will you perform incremental load, and how did you establish the connectivity with the source, and after ingesting the data, when come to the transformation layer, what all are the common transformations you have done, or they might ask what is the complex transformation that you have done. And when coming to the publish layer, where you have used Delta Lake Table, or where you have used PySpark, and where you have used Spark SQL, and how will you differentiate using the PySpark and Spark SQL, how will you decide to use the PySpark or Spark SQL, and why you used Delta Live Table, why you have used Delta Lake Table. These type of the questions, if they drive into that direction, then making possible to succeed in that interview is more chances, rather than giving very wider choices for them. We were ingesting data from multiple source systems, and we are producing the final output that will be used by this many number of users. The number of users and how you will give access, these and all need to come as an interview question. Don't give it to present it in the beginning. Okay, give the very high level, and also mention about some of the supporting services. That also make sure that you have got the wider knowledge in the Databricks, the data engineering space. Okay, I think you are getting some idea about it, how you present your CV as well as your introduction. Okay, be specific about what we have worked on. That is the main thing I'm trying to focus here. Okay, even after presenting like this, there is a possibility of questions can go out of our comfortable zone. That is possible because I am seeing it. Okay, many places I'm seeing some of the questions are going out of our comfortable zone. Still, you have definitely learned that in course. I can confirm that we need to do little improvising to answer that questions. How to bring that improvising, that's what I'm trying to teach you in this lesson. We have got the very wide number of chapters here. I try to cover this in the 2 different sessions. Okay, I don't think we can able to cover in one single session. The first thing you know is what all are the different terminologies available in the data analytics and in the data engineering. I have given us a module summary at the end of the first lesson, and try to go through them. You need to know all of these terminologies. These terminologies are the one going to come as a question in your interview. If we need to understand the question, we need to understand the terminologies. I also produced one YouTube video about this one. I will share with all of you, so you can go through that one. Okay, Now, in the course, the first lesson and then the second lesson, we are not covering any interview questions at all. I try to bring all of the terminologies with proper context. That's what I have tried. I'm not expecting any questions based on the first two lessons. We start with PySpark introduction. Okay, some of the questions, it gave me a moment to think about it, what to start with it. Okay, as long as when I read the question, if something is coming in your mind, you can start to talk about it. That is confirming that you are ready for interview. Okay, that's a good thing. And even some of these questions you can able to answer. You can stay in this session. Each time I'm reading the question, if you can able to answer it, then you are ready for the interview. That is absolutely. One interview they asked why we are using PySpark and why we are using PySpark and not using the general purpose Python programming language for the data analytics project. There are so many reasons. The simple reason is Python is a general purpose programming language. It's not developed for processing large scale data. That's why Apache Spark is developed. Okay, or Python supports the OLTP based systems. When I am talking about our source systems, ticket booking systems or hotel booking systems, all those systems, number of transactions are too many. For example, when we try to book something, number of people are booking, the system is too many, but the data involved in each of the transaction is very low, small comparing to the data analytical processing. But in data analytical processing, transactions are very less. Okay, only couple of reports are running the report, but each report is producing or processing the large amount of the data. The general purpose programming language can't able to handle large processing data. That's why the Apache Spark is evolved. PySpark is one of the component in the Apache Spark. So this is the improvising you need to do when you read the question. When they directly asking about PySpark, we are not only using PySpark to process the data, we are using Spark SQL as well, and Delta live tables as well. It's all part of the Apache Spark architecture. So you need to prepare about large scale data processing. We can't use the general purpose programming language. We need the special data processing engines. Apache Spark is one of the engine. That's why we are using the PySpark. If any one of that type of the hint is coming in your mind, then we are fine actually. Okay, I'm probably talking very elaborate way, but if you are getting some idea, then it will be fine. This is not directly available. Even you take any course, actually it won't be directly available. You need to improvise from your learning. Okay, I don't need to take any notes. Okay, I will share all of them. I specifically prepared for to share with it. Okay, how to read data from the source files got different delimiters. Okay, I'm assuming that we all know the basic PySpark coding and what is delimited files. Normally the delimiter is comma delimited file. So the CSV reader automatically can able to read the data file which has got the comma as a delimiter. Instead of comma, they have used pipe delimiter, even some places question mark as a delimiter in the source data files, because actual data contains the comma. They want to differentiate from that one. It's very simple actually. I just come to here because as soon as this option keyword is coming in your mind, then you can able to answer this question. Okay, there is the option to specify the delimiter, and in the delimited files, still we use the CSV reader to read the any delimited file, but you specify the delimiter as a specific delimiter using the option keyword. That is the one their expectation. You need to use the option keyword to specify the specific delimiter. We will move to the next question. How to create a new column in this is all PySpark. Okay, the main thing I am trying to teach you here is we are going via our course so that we can cover all possible interview questions based on the module wise. As I said, there is so much information is available in the web. We can't randomly pick up something and prepare it and we can say that we are ready for the interview. I am changing that pattern into the structured Databricks interview preparation. In each of our lesson, what type of possible interview questions will come that we can improvise based on our learning. That is the objective. So I am discussing all the possible interview questions come from the PySpark introduction lesson. I have given little hint here as well. Okay. So how to create a new column in data frame. This is also again hint. They are expecting a answer from the PySpark. From available source columns. A data frame has got 3 columns. You need to derive a new column from one of the existing column or combining multiple columns from the existing column. How will you derive it? The hint it's coming in your mind is there is a function called with column. Probably I will request to practice as much as possible the PySpark introduction lesson, because all of the code they are asking us to write in PySpark is coming only from this lesson. They are not asking us to write some complex coding sorry, like how to create a new column from the existing column name. I think we have done it here. We used the with column function with call function to derive the additional derivation from the existing columns. With column, if it's coming in your mind, then definitely you can able to answer these type of the questions. The last one, the fourth one is very, very tricky one. This is the one it made me to think about for very long time. Okay. How to read data frame from fixed with source columns. Okay. They are talking about the data like this. Azure Databricks training. From there is no delimiter. Okay. They want to split first 5 characters as a Azure, then next around 10 or 11 characters as a technology, and the last I think 8 characters as a. They want to convert this single line of text into 3 different columns based on the length. Okay, that is the expectation. That's what called fixed with source columns. In this example, I can't have one more record which exactly simulate this one, but these type of the data come from the mainframe based source systems. It is possible fixed with files can come as a source for processing it. How to do that? Actually, we don't have any specific option for reading fixed with columns in the PySpark data frame. We need to do this in a 2-step process. Okay, the data frame 1 reads this entire string. Okay, you can use the same spark.read.csv method. You can specify the source file path. As there is no comma delimiter, this data frame comes out with only 1 column. It will read entire string as a 1 line. Okay, that's how it read it. In the data frame 2, again we are going to use the same with column function with substring methodology. Okay, df1, okay, with column, a new column name I am giving as a cloud provider, and I need to derive the column using the call function of substring of this call 1 comma 1 comma 5. This is always the first column. Okay, you need to do that for all of the remaining columns. Here you need to pass the specific length value. Okay, this is how you can able to. This is the one of the way I can think of. Okay, there is the another possibility is you can define the schema for your source data. For example, I can create the schema in the course we have got how to create the schema as well for the source data frame. You can define the schema for your source file, and you can use you can pass that as a reader, your data frame reader, and you can read it. But that don't work because we have got the CSV method. CSV method still look for the comma as a delimiter. Even though you are giving the schema name, it can't able to read the individual columns because it will look for the comma as a delimiter between the source data. Again, it will read entire data as a single line only. It can't able to read it. I can see this is the only way we can able to handle it, these type of the scenarios. But it really took a moment for me to think about the approach. Okay, forget about the implementation. When these type of the questions will come, you try to manage like, I have not used the fixed width file in my project. Probably defining whichever the option coming in your mind. Okay, if the schema definition is coming in your mind, you can mention that. Probably defining the schema might give you the proper one, but I need to test it. Okay, I'm not sure about it. You give something diplomatically to manage these type of the questions. Okay, if we do not know, we need to plainly tell that we didn't come across that type of the scenarios, so I do not know how to do that one. There is nothing wrong about it. But if you want to give some approach, you can try that. I have not tested that approach, but possibly that will work. Okay, probably I want to make little confidence to you. That's why I included this question. How to write the code using PySpark and Spark SQL in the same notebook. I believe most of you definitely know the answer for this one. It's a magic commands, right? We can specify percentage py, percentage SQL, anything we can able to include it. Okay, this is again a testing. I think how deep they are going actually. How to check the file existing on the ADLS, in this case cloud storage account, from notebook without opening the Azure portal. Okay, that is the one they asked actually. It all need to strike for us actually. The DB utils is the answer for this one. Okay, from Databricks notebook we can use the DB utils to see the files existing in the data lake storage account. Just now striked me, probably if any one of us it striked you, we can use the catalog as well. Okay, if you go to the external data where we created our containers, here we can able to browse it. Okay, it just striked me. Okay, I'm little coding type of the person, so only DB utils previously striked me. Probably they might be expecting to check this one. Okay, apart from this one, reading the JSON data, you need to use the JSON reader, and for the delta files or the parquet files you need to use the common load reader. Those and all covered in the course. As I say, probably even you gone through the PySpark introduction. One more time before the interview, do or at least read through all of the hands-on that you already did it, because some of the code write examples in this module is they are asking to write the code either using the aggregation or joins. Okay, the joins I have not covered in the PySpark introduction. We are covering in the little later part of it. Mostly the code example they are asking us to write, it is either a join or aggregation. Okay, as long as you know the keyword for join or aggregation, you will be fine for writing the code example. Next we move to the Spark SQL lesson. Okay, here I have given little hint about it. For first 4 lessons we are not doing the real-time project. I want you to familiar with all of the code syntax as much as possible. That's what they are asking in the interview question as well. So Sorry, I had a sip of water. So code examples, you do not need to worry about like writing the code up to explode function to convert the array values into I didn't see it. So far, the code examples are even in one place in the Spark SQL, they are asking to write the code to read the select query to read the data from a table. Okay. As soon as we see that, we normally write select star from the table name. That is not the expectations. We need to have little alert. Okay. So they are expecting the 3-level naming conventions that we are following it. Okay. The Unity catalog name dot schema name dot table name. That is their expectation. Okay. So whenever you see the question, don't try to give the simplest answer that is coming in your mind. Little think about it, because we are saying that we worked on the enterprise scale projects. So what we do in that actual project, I try to give a couple of hints as well here and there. There are some standard questions definitely will be asked. Okay, in every interview they ask actually. We will be seeing in detail. We'll go by module. That will be better. Here and there I will jump here and there. Okay. Explain the scenarios where you have used external tables. Okay. Okay. We all know that we need to use the external tables where data load is not happening by data load is done by external process. Okay, that this can be a notebook, or even this can be another job directly ingesting the data into the data analytical possible. This is one of the possibilities there. Okay. What I meant another job is completely a job away from the our data analytical. We are not developing the ingestion job. Some other job that is directly developed in the source system, they ingest the data into our Azure data lake storage account. That is also possible, because some of the one project I worked on, the SAP system is the OLTP system. It is very predominantly used all over the time. Okay, 24/7 the system is used. They do not allow any external code to access their tables and read it. They say that we will write our own code. You provide the location in our ADLS. We will push the data to the ADLS. You don't connect to our source system. So those type of the jobs also possible. Okay. So in those cases, if the data ingestion is not controlled by us or the code that we develop the external table, then we create the external table on top of that one. That's the scenario. The next one is actually the difference between external table and managed table. In managed table also called as a delta lake table. There is no difference between managed table and delta lake table. In delta lake table, we create the table and we populate the data. In the external table, we just create the data. The data population will be done by another notebook that we develop, or another process that is not even part of our data analytical project. So that is the answer for your external table. Based on the project you are presenting it, okay, you need to bring out with the scenario. in one of the source data is directly ingested into ADLS, you didn't develop the ingestion notebook, then you create the external table. Or other case, for example, you need to migrate set up data from one specific database that is existing in the on-premise. You have developed the code to ingest that as your files, then you can create the external table on top of that. So you need to be adapt to the project that you are mentioning about it. In the course, I can say that for our daily pricing data, the ingestion is happening from the HTTP source data. So we can't create the delta lake table directly. After ingesting the data, we are creating the external table on top of that one. The difference between external table and managed table, I didn't include some of the answers here. When I send you the questions, I will include the answers because I want to discuss the answers. when I'm discussing the answers, I do not want to read through some text. That's why don't worry about that. I'm only sending these questions. Okay, I'll send the answers as well with you. Don't worry. I thought of actually in the flow, I would like to explain with the project and the code instead of giving some reading through some proper text. Okay. Obviously, in external table, you drop the table, the data still exists. In the managed table, if you drop the table, the entire data will be lost. That is the one of the biggest difference in terms of the technical implementation I'm seeing. But I noted a couple of additional points as well. I will share with you when I'm sending all the questions and answers to you. Different type of Spark SQL functions used in the project. Okay, this is the one question I am recommending. Don't answer the simple function. Okay, when they are asking these type of the questions, for example, concatenation, even substring, I do not want to go with for these type of questions. Okay, in our course, if you talk about a row number function, okay, that is the best impression, because you are directly talking about one analytical function. Okay, you can talk about the explode function as well. Okay, that converts. We are not seeing in this lesson, but when you finish the course, you come to know what is the explode function. It converts the complex data values in array into the individual rows actually. Those type of the functions I want you to talk about it. Definitely don't go with concatenation and substring. Even date format validation is one of the valid SQL functions that we frequently use. Definitely not a substring or concatenation. Okay. And selecting the data from the table, even though you see the simple question, you come out with a little complex answer for that one based on the knowledge. We can't produce something all of a sudden. So this is all little awareness. Okay, when we read the data from the table, we always pass the 3-level naming conventions. So we will be seeing some more Spark SQL when we will look at the silver layer transformation as well as the populating the reporting database modules. But with respect to the Spark SQL module in the lesson, I have not found out any tricky question that will make you to improvise. This is a list of questions I'm getting from the students at the moment. I started to update this into the course as well. Okay, so whoever bought the course, I think even you don't need the notes that I am producing it here. I've started to including, as I said, I'm giving more descriptive format in the answers here. Okay, you don't need to worry about it. And I'm giving the sample code as well wherever I needed it. So everything there in the course. Okay, for the people who bought the course. Yeah. So far so good. I think actually you can able to follow it. Okay, we will go to the Unity Catalog. Okay, Unity Catalog, some strange questions are coming. Okay, the first 3 things are I think very standard questions. We can able to manage it using the course contents as well. Okay. As a data engineering developer, maybe I have implemented 7 different projects. The advantages of Unity Catalog is it made the configurations easier. Okay, that's how I see it in the technical perspective, but their expectation is little different. What is the advantages of the Unity Catalog? They are looking at multi-cloud integration and multiple data workspace usage. Those all are the area they are expecting when they are talking about what is the advantages of configuring Unity Catalog. As a data engineer, when you develop the Unity Catalog, it is little easier because this external data configuration, mounting the data lake storage container, it is little time consuming job, and in every notebook you literally need to mount these data lake containers before the Unity Catalog. Now we are mounting it once and that's it. In any of the codes we are not even worrying about it. We are just reusing these things. So in terms of a developer perspective, it made our life very easier actually by doing once and reusing it. But their expectation on advantages of using configuring the Unity Catalog is obviously it's a very powerful thing. Okay, we need to accept that. This is not in the Azure cloud, this is in the Databricks direct. It is a Databricks own account. We can create a login there. Again, I will send the URL to create that one. I created 2 workspaces in EU West 1 region and 1 workspace in EU West 2 region. The purpose of the Unity Catalog is we can configure the Unity Catalog in more than 1 workspaces, so that the data set that you create in one workspace can be shared with another workspace. Okay, this is very straightforward if you are creating another workspace in the same region. Okay, in our case, I have created one more workspace for CI/CD implementation in the later part of the course. If you create another workspace in the same region, this catalog is automatically available for you. You don't need any configuration in the new Databricks workspace. It will detect that you are in the same region, you already got the Unity Catalog on your dev Databricks workspace. It will try to bring everything here. Okay, but if you are existing in the different region like here, so I think when I'm talking about workspace, you all are clear. It is the development environment to develop the code and configure everything. If you created a workspace in the different region like here, the Unity Catalog created for this region can't be configured on the workspace existing in the another region. In one single region, you can have only one Unity Catalog. If you create the workspace in the different regions, then you need to create the different Unity Catalog. This is little possible for them, very global business, isn't it actually? For example, Nike store, they are running globally. They have got multiple regions present, and analytics they will create it. So you need to aware of this one, and you can able to set this only inside the Databricks account. You need to log in into the Databricks account to assign Unity Catalog into the workspaces. If you open any one of the workspace, you come to the, you open your Unity Catalog and you come to the workspaces. If you want to assign to other workspace, you can able to do that one. Here I am coming to the workspace Unity Catalog that is associated to the EU West 2 region. You can't assign that into the EU West 1. It is giving the indication that it's existing in the different region. So the question is related to 4 different departments in a company. They want to access the data sets created inside the Unity Catalog, and how will you provide access? Okay, that is their question. It's very, very strong question. They didn't even mention that it's in the same region or different region. They are expecting we need to talk about it. Okay, if all 4 departments in same region, then we can use single Unity Catalog. Okay, and they have got 4 different workspaces. Okay, automatically it will allocate as I saw in the Microsoft Azure. If they are in different regions, then we need to allocate the region specific Unity Catalog for them. But there is one specific question on Unity Catalog. You need to be prepared for it. Even they are asking to explain the steps to create the Unity Catalog. That is the reason specifically I created multiple steps in the Unity Catalog. I think you can follow through these steps straightforward. They want to talk about Databricks Access Connector. They want to talk about managed identity in the data lake storage account. They want to register that one, and you create the data lake storage containers inside there, and you create the storage location for Unity Catalog objects as well. Always they are asking a question in the Unity Catalog, Again, all of the questions I definitely uploaded in the module summary with the detailed explanation for each of the question. Now we will move to the, I'm talking about ingesting HTTP source data here. This is applicable to any of the source system that you mentioned in your project, okay? Based on that one, they are asking set of questions, okay? The first question is, how did you manage to connect to the source system, okay? From Databricks, obviously, you need to establish the connectivity to the source system to ingest the data. If it's a web service, okay, normally the web services provide the web certificate, okay? There is a thing called certification file associated to each of the website. It contains all the details for any service to connect into that specific web page, okay? Again, this URL I will provide it. Along with your URL, you need to pass that web certification, okay? Then it will establish the connectivity to the web service. If it's not a web service, for example, you are connecting to the SAP systems, any of the ERP systems you are connecting to read the data, then the source system owners need to provide all of the credentials. We won't have that credentials. Depending on that credentials, we need to establish the connectivity. So little research on the source system that you are mentioning in your project, how you connect from Databricks. You can Google it, you can check with ChatGPT, have that proper configurations actually ready for answering that question, okay? The next question is easier one, but when they are talking about ingestion load, it need to strike in your mind they are talking about incremental load or full load, okay? In our course, we always did the incremental load when ingesting the data from HTTP source data. We are doing full load from the SQL database ingestion. The next ingestion, if you look at it, every time we are reading the data from all of the data in the table. That is what called full load. They want to talk about these two load types whenever they are talking about type of ingestion loads. How did you perform your incremental load? And it depending on the columns available in the source data, okay? A specific column will specifically indicate it got changed on after we ingest, then we can use that one, or the file names we can use it. That's what we are using it to do the incremental load. If it's a database, I think I discussed that question again here. If it's a database, even we can use the primary key column values. We can extract the maximum primary key column value and store it somewhere. In the subsequent load, we can select only the records which is greater than the primary key column values. This is all specific to the source system you are mentioning in your project. You need to align with that one. You need to ready to manage this question, okay? Okay, this is again, and most of them we need to improvise. That's why I'm specifically again and again talking, maybe talking the same thing in the different synonym or different terminology. How to migrate or load data into multiple environments, probably using same notebook. We know the answer, okay, but it need to strike us, okay? We need to parameterize multiple environments. That is the answer for that one, okay? As long as your notebook is parameterized, you can able to use it for loading into any type of the environment. It can be work in dev, it can be work in test, in multiple databases as well. Instead of dev and test, they can ask stage and test environment, okay? So whenever they want to talk about, whenever they are talking about a question which involves reusability or developing the code that works in the multiple environments, the parameterizing is the one need to come in your mind, okay? How did you automate the run of ingestion notebook, and how frequently the notebook runs? How frequently is the catch to really test you worked on the real project, okay? The frequent, okay. How to automate the run of the ingestion notebook? We know the answer, right? Workflows and the jobs is the answer in the Databricks, we can schedule it. Okay, and how frequently the notebook run. This is related to how frequently our source data generated. If source data is generated once in a day, like our course, we run once. If it get updated every 30 minutes, then we need to schedule it to run it to every 30 minutes. Okay. If it's a real-time and streaming data that is generated continuously, then obviously our code base also will be different. We will be seeing later part of the course how to read the real-time data, and in the scheduler as well you need to put that as a continuous one. Just now we have seen the scheduling option actually. You need to mention that as a continuous one. Okay, it will run continuously. Okay. Another common question related to is what is the difference between all-purpose cluster or the job cluster, and when will you use the job cluster and when will you use the all-purpose cluster? Along with this one, they even asking SQL warehouse cluster as well, because the difference we need to know. Obviously, all-purpose cluster whenever for ad hoc request, actually during the development, all the time we are using the all-purpose cluster when developing the code. Okay, the job cluster only can be configured in the workflows or jobs. There's nowhere you can able to configure the job cluster. Either it need to be a standard Databricks workflow job or the Delta live table pipeline job. So workflows and only jobs we are configuring the job cluster. The SQL warehouse can be used to run the code involves only the Spark SQL. If any of the code involves PySpark, we can't use the SQL warehouse cluster. That is the difference. On top of that, I have included some additional details actually. Just the data from. Try to remember as many as possible. Okay, if any some of them you will talk about it, it will be fine. In terms of difference between all-purpose and the job cluster, okay, there are some additional details I have given it here. Okay, this is the another one tricky question. Okay, when source system doesn't allow to connect from Databricks, okay, the source owners can take the decision. Source system is not in our control. Source system is owned by some other software engineering team. Give me a moment. Sorry. If they contain some sensitive data, they do not want any external systems allowed to connect to them, we won't be able to connect it, but still we need the data from them. Then we have got them in, this is related, not even related to the Databricks, this is related to the data lake storage account. Okay, here we have got shared access signatures. Okay, you can able to create a URL for our data lake storage account, for a container, even for a specific folder, and you can give specific permissions on, as I said, you can create it at container level or you can create it file level. The Q1 table is the another option available to store the data here. You can set the specific permissions here. You can even set the start date and end date, how long this access is valid as well. Okay, and you can specify specific IP addresses as well. From this is the external source system IP address. From that system, if this IP address, then only it will give the permission to this one. If you create this shared access signature, okay, if you create this SAS connection string, it will give one connection string. If you share this URL with the source systems, then they can directly ingest into our data lake storage account using this URL. Mostly we will create it for the bronze layer, because it's an ingestion layer, they can use that URL and they can directly ingest into our ADLS account. Okay, that is the answer for this question. Okay, if the source system don't allow to connect from Databricks, how to ingest the data? We need to create the shared access signature. This is all the ones I'm a little worried about, how to manage this type of on ADLS and provide the URL. While creating the shared access signature, you properly control what type of permissions you are going to give to them. Even the folder level, you can do that one. So it's allowed. In one of the project I had, that's exactly same thing happened. So now, what issues you have faced in the project? Okay, specifically in ingestion side or in the general one, that is the one previously discussed it. Okay, some operational issues we can talk about it. Okay, so this will prove that we are handled the actual scenario. Okay, the source data may not arrive. Obviously we can start with job fail. Okay, and the reason is source data may not arrive. If this happens, there is a standard process. We can't do anything directly to fix our code. Okay, we need to, first of all, if the source data didn't arrive for that data, our job is failed. We need to inform all of our end users about job failure. Okay, or at least the data is not latest. Before they start to raise additional queries, it would be better to inform them. And we need to work with our source team and inform the source team as well. It may be the fault from them, or it will be the connectivity issues between the source team and the network issues, other things actually. Okay, so and in the real-time production scenarios, obviously we need to thing called service tickets. We need to raise a service ticket with priority depending on how much impact that has made on the actual project, so that all the relevant people will be informed and escalated and the meetings will go. Okay, this is the common process that we follow. If they talking about data issues specifically, okay, this is not our code issue. Okay, for example, our code is failing, not able to handle some specific data. What will you do? This can happen as well. Okay, if you take any of the European name that has got some funny symbols at the end of the letters, top of the letters, you try to store that in the Excel. Excel will store that as some special character. Okay, because it's not recognizing that code format, storing it. These type of the data will come. Sometimes some special characters got included in the source data that we can't able to, even Databricks can't able to recognize it, some special characters. Okay, if it's in the UTF format, it will read. If it's not falling under that UTF format, it won't be able to read until otherwise you specify that specific format. Job will fail saying that incorrect data. Even in the error, you can't able to find much information. Okay, so these things, it need to be again corrected in the source data. Without correcting the source data, we can't able to load that special characters data. Always I would like to go with some special characters, because this is very frequently occurring in the source data. Okay, the way to fix that one is either source team need to remove that special character specific record, or we need to manually delete that in the source file to reload and reprocess the data. Performance side problems will come. I would like to cover that as a separate module to go through the performance tuning options, and also how to handle the job failure. Also, I want to handle that as a separate module, because there are multiple places you can check to find it out, the root cause for the error, starting with opening the job log and the Spark UI and Spark UI logs. Here I didn't prepare it because I want to, as I said, actually I'm just going with the module wise interview questions rather than giving the wider type of the interview questions. Definitely we will go through that one as well. Okay. With respect to the source data, the unexpected issues that we normally face is some unexpected special characters in the source data. That is the one thing. The source data may not arrive. Okay, that is the another one. Or same source data might be arrived again by accidentally. They resend the same source data. Okay. This scenario, they are expecting our code need to handle automatically. If the same source data arrive, they want us to handle automatically. That is the purpose of implementing the incremental load, right? If you have implemented incremental load in your ingestion notebook, the same source data arrived, obviously it won't pick it up. If it's a file or it's a database table, we have got already processed file names or processed latest processed file date. Even it will run, it will check it out, but it won't re-ingest the same data again. So your answer is, we have applied incremental load in the ingestion notebook. It will automatically handle the resending the same source data accidentally. Okay. One or two scenarios for the complex or difficult task you faced is more than enough. Actually, we can't even give more than two scenarios for those type of the questions. Okay. I think I could have combined this one with the ingesting, because this is again the same ingestion type of question. I don't think I need to go in detail about ingesting SQL database type of the question. You need to know how will you establish the connectivity with the source system that you mentioned in your project. That is the must to have answer from your end, including the configuration options, because some type of the source systems, for example, you are talking about some Salesforce CRM system, it will use different connectivity parameters. Again, the SAP will use the different connectivity parameters. Different databases will use the different connectivity parameters. The source system that you mentioned in your project, you need to know how to connect. In the silver layer, we are coming to the silver layer transformation. Not only silver layer transformations, hereafter everything we are doing is different type of transformations. Okay, this is always they are asking it. Okay, it can come as here what type of transformations you performed, or what is the complex transformations you performed. This is the issue, complex issue we faced. This is the complex transformations we performed. Okay. When they are talking about transformations, the immediate answer for including me, okay, for everyone, the immediate answer coming in our mind is concatenation or substring. I really do not know. Maybe it might be registered in our mind or something like that. But don't never ever talk about very basic transformations again here. That is the catch, because in the course we have done extensive transformations. Okay, to some extent we have gone. Okay, probably you may not have reached the modules 14th and 15th, or some of you might have gone through it. If you look at the silver layer transformations for the data lake, we are using, first of all, the type of the transformations that you can mention is joins. Okay, we performed different type of joins to integrate the data. That is the one thing you can mention about it. As soon as you mentioning this one, you need to be familiar for different type of the joins. Okay, not the inner join. I'm not going to talk about because they will ask any one of the join type, what is the difference, or what does the join type will come actually. Okay, so you need to be familiar with all type of the joins, but different type of the joins is the one transformation you can mention about it. The next one based on our course is processing complex JSON data. Here I am talking about nested dictionary of arrays. Okay, we are processing it. Okay, so nested dictionary of arrays. So we use a dot notation to extract the complex data type first. It's included in the course, and then we use the explode function to convert array into individual rows. And other transformation you can talk about is merge statement. Even before they are asking to write the SQL for the merge statement, you can talk about it. We are using the merge statement to populate the specifically reporting tables. Okay. I think these type of the transformations you'll talk about it, that will create the good impression, but we need to ready for the follow-up question. When we are talking about the joins, we need to know all the different type of the joins. We are using almost all the type of the joins here in both PySpark as well as the Spark SQL. Okay, and again this one we need to back up with the course content. How will you handle the complex JSON data? Okay, in the silver layer, and the merge SQL statements you talk about it. I think that will be sufficient. I am giving some more examples as well in the course module summary for talking about the type of the transformations you perform in the silver layer. Yeah, and it striked me now. Okay, with respect to Medallion architecture, the Medallion architecture design, there is no complex question. First of all, the design is just organizing your data into 3 layers. There is nothing else is there. It's all guidelines after that one. What type of data you store in bronze layer, what type of data you store in silver layer, and what type of data you go. So they only make your life little complex in the interview questions is what type of transformations you performed in each of the layer. That is the only way they can test you really implemented Medallion architecture or not. Okay, that is the one related to this question we discussed about what type of transformations you have performed in the silver layer. In some places they are talking about advantages of using Delta Lake table. What all are the advantages? We can able to do the time versioning. For each insert or update into the Delta Lake table, the Delta Lake table is creating a new version of the data with new version number. The previous state of the table data is still maintained. We are not browsing through the previous versions of the data. We are always fetching the latest versions of the data, but you can able to do the time travel using the Delta Lake table. It is keeping the previous versions of the data. This is not very useful in terms of daily processing because we always look at the latest data. But in the instance of some entire corrupt of the data lake storage account or data lake table or failover process, we can able to restore the previous version of the Delta Lake table. So fault tolerance, it's automatically providing. There is some questions related to what is ACID transactions. ACID transactions are basically, if you look at the data lake table storage layer, okay, it's still the files. All of the data lake table data is stored in the files, but it is allowing us to create a table on top of the files. This is the Unity Catalog storage container. I am opening it. Here it is storing all of the data in the Parquet files and using this Delta Lake here. If you look at it, it has got the, for each processing, it is storing some of the metadata here based on the columns that we are storing in the table, and this is what providing us to present the file data as a table inside the Unity Catalog. In the table storage in the file format, plain file format, it's not any format that is managed by the software. It is allowing you to run all the insert, update, delete concurrently. Okay, multiple users can update the data that got stored in the files. That is the advantages provided by the ACID transactions. The vacuum, okay, this one probably is useful as for each transaction it is building the version of the data, assuming that in the real-time project we are running every 30 minutes, we are updating our delta lake table. In a day it will keep the 4 individual versions of the data. In over the year 365 into 4 versions of the data. This is not really needed, okay, but the delta lake table naturally keep the versions of the data. These many versions of the data we may not be needed. We are always querying most recent version or a 1 month worth of the data. So to removing these historical versions, we use the vacuum statement. So all of a sudden they will ask about vacuum statement. Have you used vacuum statement, or what is the purpose of the vacuum statement? We need to aware of that one. In the delta lake table side, okay, you need to know time versioning, time travel or time versioning, and the ACID transactions and the vacuum statement most frequently asked about it. So like if you can able to cover up to the section 14, then that is the perfect for the next session to cover everything. As I said, the same questions will come in the interview. It's no guarantee, but what we are doing here is we are covering based on our learning, and you need to little improvise, okay? We don't have any choice actually. It won't be the direct questions. You need to do little improvise to answer the questions. I'm trying to teach you the way to improvise or way to adapt quickly. It naturally comes if we fail in 1 or 2 interviews, obviously, okay? That is the another real-time experience that we are going to see it. So hopefully it will be useful to you. As I said, I'm really trying new. I will left it out after explaining the student how to present your CV and what all are the things you need to say in your introduction lesson. That's all I teach to all of them. I never say that I will go through the interview questions, but people are using the Databricks extensively now, okay? The scenarios that they are seeing it, they want to check others also know. That is nearly impossible, okay? If I faced some specific scenario, I have implemented it, the other candidate won't be able to know that one in the straightforward in a minute time to find it out scenario, but industry is demanding it, okay? That's how I see it. Couple of students started to discuss about these interview questions. That's why I bring it here. Hopefully it might be useful to you. Let me see, okay? You can individually, if you think you want to have little more coverage on any specific thing, you can message me, you can LinkedIn me. Try to connect me in LinkedIn as much as possible, I will say, actually, because I can able to share as much as information that I am getting in the fly. Everything is changing so quickly. So you individually let me know, okay? If you want to know different type of the coverage in this one, that is fine actually, okay?